Today for the Buffalo Bills, they'll get back to practice tomorrow morning, and we'll also get the team's first injury report of the week as they do get ready to wrap up the regular season at home against the New York Jets Sunday at 4:25. There was, though, some roster news today. The team did announce they have signed wide receiver Mecole Hardman back to the practice squad. Around the rest of the league, though, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. Patriots did make a statement today saying that they were aware of the allegations and that they are going to be cooperating with the authorities and the NFL. The league also made a statement confirming that they were in contact with the Patriots, but had no further comment at this time. And then in other Diggs news, Stephon's brother, cornerback Trayvon Diggs, was released by the Cowboys earlier today. If he does go through waivers unclaimed, he will become a free agent. To the Sabres, as their winning streak, it moves to 9. They are back in action tomorrow night at Dallas. Something to keep an eye on, though. Head coach Lindy Ruff, when meeting with the media today, did say goaltender Alex Line is being evaluated for a lower body injury that he suffered last night. Colton Ellis, though, is expected to be able to come off IR if Line is not available. Around the rest of the league, 5 games in all. 3 of them are at 7. Hurricanes at the Penguins, Maple Leafs host the Devils, and the Panthers, they play host to Montreal. At 8:30, the Islanders are at Chicago. Then at 10, to round out your evening, Vancouver, they host Philadelphia. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I don't think that's a very good attitude.
It's Mike Schopp.
You don't think? You don't think? I don't think you should be butting in when I'm talking to my team. You're my assistant, okay? You're supposed to back me up and go get me juice boxes when I tell you. Now go get me a juice box. You know who you're talking to?
It's the Bulldog.
I'm talking to the juice box guy. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just thirsty. Why don't you go to hell? No, you go to hell. While you're there, why don't you grab me a juice box? I'm no juice box boy, I'll tell you that. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you
It's
are.
Mike
I'm not.
Schopp and the Bulldog on WGR Sports Radio 550.
Hi there. I brought a friend today. Lucky you if you're watching the show. I mean, isn't that always true? But on the Twitch or the YouTube, we have the hallowed League of Shopes and Dreams Fantasy Football Trophy in my left hand as we speak. There it is. I'm holding it up. I'm just getting my work in. Tuesday's arms and back. There it is. I brought it because Jeremy White won the league this year. His first time on the trophy. Not only is there the being able to take home the trophy and have it for a year, that's obviously huge, but also the simple prestige of it, the feeling of accomplishment in 9 years of getting to the top, getting your name on it, that is permanent. Flags fly forever. And in this fancy league, you also get to decide where we draft next year, which, you know, you could let your imagination wander when it comes to that. So I'm excited about Jeremy's win. I'm happy for him. I like having new winners. If you have really good eyesight, you can see that my name is right here. Well, my name is also up here because my name is in the title of the league. But here, last year's winner, I've won 3 of these. And I'm not being, self-effacing or anything when I say that I like it when somebody else wins. That's what the league is for. Share the wealth. If 1 or 2 people win the league every year, that's boring and people will want to quit. You've been in fantasy leagues probably where it just gets really lopsided and nobody wants to play anymore. Dynasty leagues are like that. That's a challenge that commissioners have. So good for Jeremy, and he has been gracious enough to join us now on the Wester Hotline as we get into some power rankings in a minute. But first, Jeremy, once again, congratulations.
Thank you. The boat parade is tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, I love a boat parade.
Yes, the boat parade tomorrow. And we're going to need the trophy, though, to throw it from boat to boat. Is it bad if I were to tell you that I forgot there was a trophy until you opened the show and I could see it?
No.
It makes sense now. I've seen it before, but I kind of forgot. I thought, it's nice to win. I did not remember I was going to get a trophy with my name on it. That's exciting.
You get to hold it for a year.
Yes.
And, I mean, literally hold it. I would never let it go. I would not let it out of your sight. I'd just be clutching it to my bosom the whole 12 months. So you have leagues, you told me, and I've known this, that you copied from this league that we started 9 years ago. And don't you have a prize, like a physical prize for the winner?
Yeah, in one of them, we invented the prize last night. We went to buy a $10 sports code and then put some stuff on it. We're going to buy some patches, and we're basically going to have a wearable trophy. That's the plan for the one of the low-sad mirror leagues, yeah, which I won that one, too. I had a big night last night. Big night. 3 titles last night for us.
Pretty good.
In the household, including my wife.
Okay, there's us. Okay, good.
Yep, us. It's a team effort over here.
So there's a jacket that you'll wear with stuff on it? Did I get that correct?
It's the street league. It's all the guys on my street, so it makes sense. A wearable trophy. You know, at the summer block party, I'll be wearing the blazer as the champion, just to let everybody know.
And will there be a boat parade for this, or maybe not? Can't have too many boat parades.
We usually do a bike parade. All the kids do a bike parade at the block party. So I'll just have one of my kids have the trophy mounted to the front. No, we're doing the jacket, so I'll just wear it as whatever. A master of ceremonies.
Nice.
Let me ask you this about my low sad win for Bills fans saying, who cares about fantasy football? I'd say this.
How dare you?
Am I not a little bit like the Bills? I've been there a bunch. I've been worthy a bunch of times, and finally I got one.
There's one, I think, well, you might disagree. I think there's one, I would say, obvious difference. I mean, the point is right that you've contended for a long time but haven't won it yet. Have you been to the finals before, even?
No, I'd never been to the finals.
So that's similar, this era of Bills football. But the difference is you were the best team this year and easily the points champion. Like, you were the rightful winner.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these Bills are.
That's right.
The best thing about the Bills' chances is that the Chiefs are out. No?
Maybe. I mean, the Chiefs last year were imperfect too, right? Like, wouldn't last year's Chiefs forget record 15-1 or whatever they 15-2?
Yeah.
Didn't they look a lot like these AFC teams? Like, they probably should have finished 12-5, and they got stupid luck. Otherwise, last year's Chiefs to me looked like they would fit right in. They got who is it? Aiden O'Connell to snap a ball off his face to close out a game. They blocked a Denver kick. Like, we spent all of last year saying they were not as good as their record, and they might fit right in.
Well, that's right. Ultimately, in the AFC Championship, they had no problem, up and down the field. Wouldn't you know it? But, yeah, I think so. I don't think they were better. I wonder what Aaron Schatz's numbers would say about this, like their DVOA versus, well, Jacksonville's this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Were they better than this Jacksonville team? Maybe not. But they also had a championship pedigree, and that's what we kind of live in fear of around here. So this year, maybe you get to go play a team that wears teal, and maybe we'll feel good about that. I guess we'll know in a couple of weeks.
I might just be guilty of any time a team or someone that hasn't won in a while breaks through, I end up wanting to relate it to the Bills. I did this with Rory at the Masters. Like, he finally did the thing. There's no reason he shouldn't have done it before, and he finally did the thing. So I've been doing that with Arsenal this year, who's been like the second best team for 3 or 4 years. Like, will they finally win it this year? So I'm always, wanting a team to finally get through and wanting to compare that to the Bills. So
do I have to get you out of here in 6 minutes for Arsenal Aston Villa, or can we make it?
It is a big one, but no, that's
1 versus 3. Pretty good. Everton an early lead, by the way, over Forest. Let's get going. It's time now for Reverse AFC Power Rankings, powered by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com. There is no manifesto when it comes to the Reverse AFC Power Rankings, and it's the time of year where, bad is a little bit good. Mm-hmm. Mid is bad. So I don't know. Use your judgment.
Okay.
Still, bad is bad, but bad's also, like, really bad is a little bit better than kind of bad.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm coming in with a take that I hope will line up with all that.
All right. Here we go. 16.
Browns.
Because they're going to stick with Shadur?
No, because the Raiders understood the assignment.
Yeah, and bailed on that Giants game?
Yes. And the Browns went and they beat the Steelers. Like, congratulations. The Raiders understood the assignment. There's very little to get wrong when you're this bad. And the Raiders got it right. A Tom Brady team, by the way, would never do. Oh, that's right.
He's the owner of the Raiders.
Browns. I'm prepared to be overruled. I just wanted to make that case.
I'll say Jets. Because the Jets won't have the number 1 pick either. And listen, I mean, this is maybe making excuses a little bit. Because I liked them against New England. I thought it sort of lined up that was a kind of a sticky game for the Patriots. Instead, it's over by 130. And they might just sort of give Aaron Glenn another year. I think they probably will. And without the first pick, what do they do with it? I mean, ownership, I think I'd rather be owned by Jimmy Haslam than the Jet teenagers. So maybe comparable. I'll say Jets.
I'm good with Jets here.
I forgot about the Jets. I'm good with the Jets here. Okay. I was going to say one thing about the Browns, though. There's a little bit of a rumble they could fire Kevin Stefanski, which I think would be very stupid, I want to put them at the bottom. But Jets is fine with me, sure. Jets.
Top. Who starts week 1 for Cleveland? Is it Sanders? I bet it is. His numbers are so bad. We'll see. 15. Jeremy is contractually obligated to Cleveland. Let's give it to him. Cleveland at 15.
Yes, like it.
14. Vegas.
Yeah, Raiders.
Come on. Congrats to Chip Kelly, the new offensive coordinator at Northwestern. What a career. What a path. I mean, Oregon, Eagles, UCLA, Ohio State, Raiders, Northwestern. Check all the boxes. I'm sure there are others. 13. Tennessee.
Has to be, right?
Has to be. I can't get them out of the top 4 here.
Right.
Their week 1 starter will be Cam Ward, though.
Plenty of people really like him.
I'm not one of them.
Okay.
You know who I like maybe less? Bryce Young.
I wonder about what Caleb Williams' glow-up can do for Cam Ward, right? Like, you get the right hire. He's number 1 pick. He shows some real flash, and maybe with a competent group around him, right play caller, you could see some of that.
I have a problem with what Cam Ward looks like throwing passes. I don't know. I'm not necessarily qualified for this, but there's a lot of sidearm and kind of weird throwing motion stuff with Cam Ward. I don't know. Like, he's athletic. Williams, though, has really popped. I mean, recently, watch him. I mean, coaching's a lot of it, but there's not a lot he can't do, Caleb Williams.
He's fun to watch. Like, watching that Niners Bears game on Monday night or Sunday night was a thrill. I mean, I'm 46, and I can count the thrilling Bears games on one hand, and that was one of them.
Can they win it all?
No.
Even as the 2? Okay. They've already beaten Philadelphia badly on the road. That could be a 2-3.
I think the Eagles aren't in these power rankings, but if they were, I'd put them pretty mid,
high.
Very mid.
All right, Tennessee at 13. Now it gets a little bit more interesting. 12. Colts.
Yeah, you kind of have to do that, right?
What's their plan?
Their plan is Mac Jones.
They'll have to trade for him.
Mac Jones is going to get $20 million from somebody, isn't he?
Well, they have to trade for him. Like, that's one thing about him is he's under contract with San Francisco. So what do you give up? A second and then the big contract? Maybe. There are so many names, Jer, for interesting possible week 1 starters next year that are just kind of like out. I think Trubisky is one. I think he would be only on a team where they had a rookie also, but I think he might be now having graduated to the point where you can represent him as a version of Darnold, like somebody that has draft capital, isn't so old, under the behind Allen. I don't know. Like, it's a strained argument, but there are a lot of teams who are going to need somebody.
Is Kirk Cousins a candidate for anybody? I mean, that's a big contract, I know, but
yes.
He can play.
He's another one. He outranks Trubisky easily. He'll be released, and then he'll also be on a team that drafts somebody maybe in like the second round or something. Not a lot of promising quarterback rookie names, it seems, this year. But we're almost to that time of year where we can start to sink our teeth into that. Indianapolis at 12, 11.
Miami?
I'm with Miami on here.
All right.
Quinn Ewers looked good.
Give it a minute. Give it a minute.
Oh, trust me, I'm not a fan, Zach. I'm with you. Like, no, but he looked okay.
What game was this? Who did they just play?
Bucks.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I didn't see any of it, so I shouldn't scoff at the suggestion. 10.
I guess we go Bengals.
Yeah, I want to say Cincinnati too. I feel weird about it because they have the quarterback figured out for now, I guess.
Okay, you guys are both on the Bengals. I was ready with the Steelers next.
Oh. Fair.
Pittsburgh at 9.
Yeah, fair.
It happened again. And, they'll probably win Sunday night, I think. I don't know. They'll maybe win 10-7, 4 seed, maybe get blown out. Andrew's on the air right now in Pittsburgh lobbying that they should want the Steelers to lose a winner-take-all division title game because Tomlin will be fired if they do.
Listen, I have a hobby of listening to Pittsburgh Reaction Mondays. It's one of my favorite things to do. They went from rock bottom after losing to the Bills to, I think this Steelers team's as good as anybody in the AFC, to now hoping that they lose and miss the playoffs. So it's a little bit more, a roller coaster over there than we usually get.
It's like our In the Hunt years, only somewhat more interesting.
Yeah.
Almost funnier. It's funnier.
Oh, it's very funny.
Because we mostly didn't delude ourselves into thinking that the Bills were anything.
No, and
in those years.
A fun game is like, who's next year's Steelers starter? Is it Aaron Rodgers again? Are they going to go trade for Malik Willis?
Wow, what a name. I know, maybe. No, that's too nutty for the Steelers. That's Cousins, maybe.
Yeah.
Somebody that's been around forever that, can
Jacoby
get
Brissett.
The plays off on time. Yeah, Brissett. Sure. All right.
It's too good. It's going to be somebody worse than that.
I'm not a Brissett guy. I mean, he was a nice find in fantasy football this year. He put up numbers all the time. They won one game. All those weeks, they beat Dallas on a Monday night. That's the only game they won. 3-13.
Did I see something like by DVOA they had the toughest schedule in 20 years?
Really?
Or something. Yeah. I mean, their division is a bunch of 11-win teams and plus.
Yep, maybe. All right, Pittsburgh 9. 8. I mean, we're just sort of looking at the Chiefs and then looking away and then looking back at the Chiefs, then looking away. Maybe it's got to be them. I mean, the rest of the AFC is in the playoffs and good, unless you want Baltimore. I think I'll go Baltimore. They're
good.
They lose Sunday night, and what happens? Does Jackson even play in this game? John Daigle said it. A lot of people probably are saying it. If Jackson doesn't play Sunday night, he never plays for them again.
And they trade him to
Miami. He'll call a shot. They'll get out. They'll be relieved. And that happens. I think that could happen.
Okay.
Kansas City at 7.
I'm into that.
All right. Now you've got the 6 playoff teams that are locked in. 6. Who's the weakest team in the field? L.A.
It's funny. As currently playing, I think it has to be the Chargers. If they had 2 players healthy, I wouldn't want them anywhere near this. Like Herbert's numbers with, is it Alt playing? He's like QB 5 in EPA, and without Alt, he's QB 23 or something.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a mountain to climb every single game. I think they're excellent, but they have just they can't live through the flaw that they have, which is the injuries to their tackles. So, yeah, fine, Chargers.
Why can't they get the ball to McConkey? Don't they want to? Like, that should be an underneath kind of a slot demon type where they just get. He's a better Shakir.
But he does outside. He can play vertically, and they can't protect him long enough to do it. Like
I think that's right. But why not adjust?
Right.
Like if he's their best guy, do they think he's not? I mean, he went almost the whole game without a catch against Houston. I don't know. That just doesn't sit right for me. But I think also LA is the weakest team left. If I'm one of these division winners, that's the team I want to play.
Yeah.
New England, probably first of all there. 5.
New England.
Is this at all Diggs news related?
No, it's which of the I've got 4 division winners. Of course, we're not counting the Steelers there, but I've got Denver, New England, Jacksonville. Of those 3,
and Houston.
And Houston, I think, is stronger than New England just because they have something that's elite. So I want to go New England. That's the team I'd like to play if I'm the Bills. If I'm the Chargers, I think the Chargers' fatal flaw could not be exposed by New England. Like they're being carried by great quarterback play, and past that, there's not a lot there yet. It's year 1. Like they're just starting their build, and it's gone well, but I don't see a great team there.
How is that different than us?
I don't think it's that different. I don't. The difference is the Bills have a really, really good run game, and New England doesn't have that.
Okay.
I don't think they run it well. I don't think they really do anything well other than Drake May making plays.
I want to get this in while you're here. Sal had a poll last night that I'm going to talk about later. Who would you rather play as the Bills, New England or Jacksonville? Remember, the Bills won in Foxborough, and the next day, Mike Vrabel got into how the Bills hold all the time. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was probably calculated. He's a big bully of a coach. And I would try to find an over-under on how many holding penalties the Bills get called for if they play again. He's put that in their ear. He'll get back to it if they meet again. Could even be next week. I don't want to live in fear of that, but I think there's probably some value in it. I would like to think if I were an official, I would, go the other way on that. Like, you know what? I don't appreciate, I don't need your advice. But I think that kind of thing can work. I'll say Bills at 5. I think the Patriots have earned more respect than the Bills have earned. They've had a better season. They have 2 games better record. They have the MVP favorite. But if they meet in Foxborough, what's the line? Are the Bills favored in Foxborough? Maybe. I was stuck on this yesterday. I'll say Bills at 5.
I'm going New England here.
Okay. 4.
Denver.
Yeah, sure. Denver.
Bills better than Denver. Okay.
Yeah. I think the Bills' defense is really starting to it's climbing up the rankings. Their EPA per play has been very, very good. The Bills have a good resume, at least halves, against really good quarterbacks. And Denver's, most of their resume defensively has been against bad quarterbacks, most of it. And when they played a good one in Jordan Love, that was a shootout. So, I think their defense is good, and their pass rush could be really problematic, like head-to-head against the Bills. But, sure, I'll go Denver. And then 3.
Bills here?
You guys go first.
This is where I go Bills, too.
All right.
So it's Bills contractually?
Once
2 out of 3?
Plant the flag, you can't move until it's claimed. So,
but you 2 are on Bills, so my protest, I might want to put Houston here, but all right, it's Bills.
It is. It is written.
In dissent. I shall write in dissent.
Yes.
Houston 2?
Okay. Jacksonville 1. What kind of world is this?
I do think they're the most balanced. They are
but
good
you hate
on
balance.
I just mean they're good on both sides of the ball.
Okay. Ninth in both.
Offense.
They're ninth in both.
Yeah, they have a good offense and a good defense. And
they're second quadrant in both.
Right. And the Bills might be that too to a degree. They just might have bigger, more glaring holes and bigger strengths.
Are you off all week?
Yeah, I was off last week too for the most part.
Wow.
The kids are off school. I've just been home. So I'm off, but I'm just here. Unless I still watch the games and have think about the games and think about just slept in a couple days because the kids are on vacation too.
Well, you're nice to take some time for us here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy. Congrats again on your win.
Thank you. I'm very excited to. We're already reaching out in negotiations with a number of places that have expressed interest in hosting the LoSAD draft. So if you'd like to host the draft, please reach out to me, and we'll accept a formal bidding process to get started soon.
What does it entail? Just basically having a room and Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Those are the requirements.
Those are the requirements, yeah.
Maybe food and drink would be good?
Pretty much.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
The joke's on everybody when I have it at the airport, Just
Well, we've been around. I mean, we've done miniature golf. I tried to get the winery the one year, but then COVID scuttled that. Like, we've been around. A couple at my house, different establishments. Be up for some, new creativity there, and you're the man for it. All right. Jeremy White joining us for Reverse AFC Power Rankings, which on WGR are powered by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com. This week, Jacksonville 1, New England 5. Last week, Jacksonville 1, New England 4. Is Jacksonville, good? That's where my head is at every day lately is who are the Bills going to play and what will it look like? 803-0550 to join me on that. Bulldog is off this week as well. Actually, he'll be back on Friday, I think. Ross Tucker and Tyler Dunn today. Also, Paul Hamilton later on the Sabres' continued winning ways. Mike Schopp here. Thanks for being along. Look for your calls next here on WGR.
Everyone knows Cooks has been a very successful player for years in the NFL now. And so he's got the reputation, the cachet, and I'm not telling everybody he's Odell Beckham from his heyday, but now defensively teams will have to say, hey, when Cooks is on the field, we got to make sure we stay on top, because if we're not, they will throw him the ball down the field. So I do think that just creates some more space. We also haven't seen a healthy Kincaid or a somewhat impactful Kincaid and Cooks really on the field that much. And so I think that's another element to this offense that I'm intrigued about and excited about.
Fingers crossed. Dan Orlovsky once again here with us today on a clip. That's from One Bills Live. Brandon Cooks, 6 targets against Philadelphia, 5 in his previous 4 games with the Bills for 1 catch. But Sunday, 4 for 101. It's a little bit, I don't want to say like something that makes me want it, different ways, be duplicitous about this, because at the root of the complaint that we've complained about, we've talked about every day, it feels like for so long, is getting the ball down the field. And on Sunday, the Bills did that with Cooks. But they were both like such tough plays, especially the second one, which reminded me of David Tyree's catch. I mean, watch that Cooks catch, and it's good. But watch that second long one to him late in the game in slow motion, and the defender is like all over it. He just cannot separate Cooks from the ball. So a really good job there, but not how you really necessarily want to live. Just needing those kinds of low percentage passes. What I meant at the beginning was, well, I want some of that. I mean, I want the Bills to make plays down the field, to want to, and maybe they will need Brandon Cooks for that. It just doesn't look like, I don't know, it's unfair, the 49ers, where Pearsall or Jennings or Kittle when he's healthy, or even McCaffrey are just running open. And is it because Jawan Jennings is so good or Ricky Pearsall is so good? It shouldn't be because they've established the run or any of that nonsense. I mean, the Bills have the leading rusher in the NFL. How is it that, well, that one team anyway, looks like it's so easy to get guys open and free down the field, and the Bills just never seem to be able to do it, at least on a consistent basis? So, yeah, maybe Brandon Cooks is the ticket, or Kincaid. We talked about him some yesterday. Cooks turned 32 in September, but looks like he still has some juice. I'm Mike Schopp. Thanks for listening. Bulldog is off today, 803-0550 for your thoughts. I mean, a wide range of options for you. The playoff picture, Cooks, the passing offense is always a hot discussion, and anything else with the Bills and their chances here going forward. Ross Tucker coming up at 4. We'll have Tyler Dunn today at 5, Paul Hamilton on the Sabres later on. Here is Mario next. Hello.
Hey, Schopp, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, I'm a Jacksonville native now, and just wanted to talk about the Jags. You asked for the break. What do the Jags look like? They're pretty consistently good at almost everything. It's not very flashy. They do a lot of, slant passes and out routes, but if you watch their games, they play close to pretty much everyone. Like the Colts almost beat them with Phillip Rivers this weekend, and you don't really know what they're gonna get. I can tell you a lot of my Jags friends here, the last team they want to play is the Bills right now, because they haven't faced anyone near Allen aside from Mahomes early in the year when they got a Monday night win. So I'm not sure. I'd rather go to New England, I think, just because we know that team. But I don't know if the Jags are quote unquote scary. I know Joe thinks they're the best team in the AFC, but I don't really know what to expect with them, because they're kind of average, but they're doing it consistently, if that makes sense.
I guess, sure. I think the best team in the conference is New England. And that doesn't mean that there can't be advantages to playing them versus Jacksonville or Denver or someone else. But New England has proven a lot. They also had a slow start. They and Denver and Jacksonville all started not great and are now sitting as the teams with the best 3 records in the conference. I think there's a credibility with Vrabel and an upside with May that makes them less appealing as an opponent. The Bills have beaten them this year, yes, in Foxborough. I don't think it's unwinnable, and I do think it's really close. I think that's been the theme of these conversations is that, I mean, even if it's the Ravens in the first round, you're looking at, less than perfect teams with varying amounts of experience and credibility in the playoffs and upside, like with May. I mean, I think it's pretty easy. I don't want this to end at, like, there's just no possible right answer, but I think it's pretty easy to make bull and bear cases for every matchup. Denver might not be round one, but you also might have to get there eventually. If the Bills are the 6 and they win in Jacksonville, say, New England beats LA as the 2, 4-5 happens, then it's Denver in week 2. And, what do you think? It's Bo Nix, not great. The Bills took them out easily in last year's playoffs at home. You've got a couple of stars on that defense, but, they've got R.J. Harvey, or they've got, I don't know, Troy Franklin. I mean, Sutton at this point. These are all matchups. The Bills are not above this for me. And maybe they are for you. Maybe it's as simple as Josh Allen, playoff pedigree, and none of these other teams really rises up to that. It's not so much that way for me. I just think you could imagine any of these games being really close. They probably should be. The spread will reflect that. Whoever it is that the Bills play in any of these rounds, it'll probably be a field goal line or shorter. And then it's about the one play or the one edge you can find that puts you over the top. And that's really going to come down. I mean, all this is obvious. It comes down to coaching and game plan and adjustments. It comes down to turnovers and not just making that one mistake. And then you need Allen to be at his best. And he wasn't at his best against Philadelphia. He's taking a lot of hits. He's got somewhat of an injury. That's even with Allen in question. So it's really hard to be able to, for me anyway, to lock in on this is what I want. This will be the way. This opponent. I just think it's all so close that it's going to be tough to do that. And I think it's interesting this year that the NFC is kind of the same way. I brought the Bears up to Jeremy when he was on for the Reverse AFC Power Rankings. I mean, they've had largely kind of a lucky season, but now they're playing the big boys close and beating a couple of them. They won in Philadelphia decisively. They were one play away from winning in San Francisco. I don't want to rule out the possibility of that team winning the conference. I think you have 14 teams in the playoffs, and there might be 3, maybe at the most, that I would want to discount. I think I'd want to discount the Steelers if they're in. I just don't see any way they win, 3 playoff games. I think they do well to win 1. I think Carolina, forget it. NFC South, whoever it is, probably forget it. Tampa Bay at least has some weaponry where maybe they have a good day and can score with a better team. I don't think Carolina has that potential at all. And after that, I mean, there are 14 teams in the playoffs. That's 2. Who's the third worst? I mean, you're talking about a Green Bay team that does a lot well, or the Chargers maybe, which have 11 wins. I don't know. Like, that's what we've got this year. And I welcome it. The last 2 years in the AFC, the same 4 teams have finished first. Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City. And there's a chance that all 4 division winners will be different this year. 2 we know will be. And then it's up to Jacksonville to beat Tennessee. Then that will be different if they do that. And if the Steelers win at home against the Ravens, then it's the Steelers. So 4 different division winners. I enjoy that. I like the variety. That's the NFL I'm used to. And as somebody that predicts this league or even bets on it, this is the way I usually lean. Like that, it's not the kind of league where teams can just stay on top for a long period of time. The Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens also have kind of proven that wrong somewhat in the last few years, but this year, very different. No Kansas City at all. We'll see about Baltimore. Bills going in as a wild card. Here's Ray next. Hi, Ray.
Hi there, Mike.
Hi.
You know, we know the Bills have a good team, but I got to tell you, why should I be confident when, and I'm not questioning you, but in general, I'm questioning myself. Why should I be confident in what they're going to do? It's been inconsistent. You know, God forbid we don't come out in the second half and be an offense, because we know the first half, for the most part, has been a dud. You know, and this whole wide receiver separation thing, well, then I guess we have a problem the next few years, because we're going to have to make a wholesale change, right, of all 5, 6 guys. I mean, it's just something's deeper than just the immediate problem. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be really ticked if the Patriots lose this Sunday because we didn't make a routine throw like a pitcher does when he comes off the mound to his right and throws it to first base. I'm not blaming Allen, but I'm just, you know, when you look back at one silly play, I'm hoping the Patriots win, just so I don't have any regret in life. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you feel that way, but that's how I'm looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, how could you not blame Allen for that throw? And that was just all on him, I would say. But I think if New England loses, it might be because they take their foot off the gas for this game, because the Chargers are doing that, which is almost, you know, might think gifting Denver a win, and then New England is left with, all right, well, what's left here for us to shoot for? Now, if they were to play their full complement and lose to Miami, then, you know, you'll be where you want to not be. But I would be shocked if that happens. I could see, I mean, it's the name of the game this week, is what do teams do with their situations? And what do you think of the possibility that New England, which is the 2, and it has a chance at the 1, only if Denver loses, could fall to the 3, that they take it easy this week? I don't hate it. I think it's really a sign that what coaches and teams want the most is rest. Now, we have to see what happens first. I don't think Jacksonville's going to rest anybody because they need to win for their division title. And Houston will probably go hard because if Jacksonville loses, then they have a look at that. Although maybe Houston is another team that goes, yeah, they're not going to lose to Tennessee. That's just a little bit more than I'm used to with this league. But I think what you've got here, Philadelphia, it sounds like they want to slow play it with the difference between the 2 seed and the 3 seed at stake. That's not a small thing. That's either, say, if the favorites win, or the home teams at least win, hosting the Bears or going to Chicago. And those feel like very different things, but they've played Chicago at home and they got blasted. They'd rather have their guys in, to the best extent they can control it, in top form. And I think we're seeing that. We'll see what happens the rest of the week and come Sunday. The Chargers doing that. Now, Herbert's been hurt. He's got a broken left hand, right? I mean, they're just not doing that only because it's safer. They've also got a guy, their most important player, is damaged. I don't know. That's kind of what it smells like to me, is that, and this is including the Bills, that they would rather just not, okay, well, you can go from a 6 to a 5 or a 7 to a 6 or a 3 to a 2 even. And I think teams sound like they really are not prioritizing that over the break they can give some of their players. Ross Tucker coming up at 4 might be a good question for Ross, this one. I'm Mike Schopp. Thanks for listening. Also, we'll talk to Tyler Dunn and Paul Hamilton later. This is WGR. The fantasy season is over. I just got a text from a friend from the Stake League that I was responding to. What a comeback by my team, which is known as High Stakes. The Stake League is such a cool idea. I got it from RotoWire, and we brought it to Buffalo. Actually, we were 10 teams this year, but it's better with 12. 12 teams, any format you want. Best ball, a regular redraft league with waivers and lineups. Doesn't matter. Format doesn't matter. We just did best ball because it was easier, and most of these guys are in a lot of other leagues. So set it and forget it, as they say. But top third, big steak dinner at some point. Top third eats for free. Bottom third pays double. Middle third pays their own way. And this is one of my success stories from this year was the Stake League, which I've always been lucky enough to not win like first place, but get the free meal. Out of nowhere, lots of dead weight on this team. When you draft Anthony Richardson and, I don't know, maybe Brandon Ayuk, I don't know. I had a bunch of guys that were just like zeros every week. For a while there, all my quarterbacks were zeros. Purdy, Richardson, who never played, and I guess Cam Ward, who was putting up 4 points or whatever that was. And this is a 2-quarterback league, just getting buried by that. But to win it, to get there, I didn't win all of it, but that one felt pretty good. Thinking about the wild card matchups, as we're talking so much about, and with that, the schedule for next week. Just a quick thought, not much time here to get into it. I'll maybe want to do that later. Even though it's all speculation, it's kind of fun. When will everybody play? When will the Bills play? Next weekend? Does it matter who they're playing against? All of this. One thing to keep in mind about this year is that there will be 3 West Coast teams playing on the road. Probably all in the Eastern time zone. The 2 runners-up in the NFC West, Rams, Niners, that could be Carolina, that could be Tampa, that could be Philly, could even be Chicago, a little bit less of a trip, but still. Then the Chargers may be at New England or Jacksonville. I don't think they're going to want to have anything that looks unfair when it comes to the West Coast teams. So whether that's a short week or an early game, there still are 3 of them, though, and somebody might have to put up with it. My guess on Twitter today was that the Chargers, if they go to New England, would be early Sunday. What it means for the Bills potentially is they might get a less sort of to be expected time slot, less of a primo time slot, because the league might have to sacrifice for the Chargers, the Rams, the Seahawks, or the 49ers, certainly the Chargers and the Rams, who are coming east for the first round, and like they're not going to want to punish them or do anything that they shouldn't anyway. It looks like they're punishing those teams because of the travel. Plus that could also affect the Monday night, because that's always been a 4 or 5 game. But if it's the Rams at the Panthers, I don't know. I think I'd want to bury the Panthers if I were scheduling these games, put them on Saturday, maybe even the early game Saturday, just so they're not in a high-profile spot. If I can do that without compromising the Rams, say, short week across the country, or the Niners, whatever it is, then I think I'd want to do it. But that's a variable this year that we haven't had, I think, very often. The 3 West Coast teams going east. Wildcard weekend next weekend. Ross Tucker next segment after the update. Mike Schopp here, WGR.
It's an off day today for the Buffalo Bills. They'll get back to practicing tomorrow. We'll also get the team's first injury report of the week as they get ready to wrap up the regular season at home this Sunday against the Jets, a 4:25 kickoff. There was, though, some news for the team as they did announce they have signed wide receiver McCole Hardman back to the practice squad. Around the rest of the league, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. Patriots did make a statement saying that they are aware of the allegations and they are going to be cooperating with authorities and the NFL, and the league also released a statement confirming they were in fact in contact with Patriots but would not make any further comments at this time. And in other Diggs news, Stephon's brother, cornerback Trayvon Diggs, was released by the Cowboys earlier today. If he does make it through waivers unclaimed, he will become a free agent. To the Sabres, they are off today, but their win streak moves to 9. They're back in action tomorrow night at Dallas. Something, though, to keep an eye on. Head coach Lindy Ruff spoke today with the media and said goaltender Alex Lyon is being evaluated for a lower body injury he suffered last night against St. Louis. Colton Ellis is expected to be able to come off IR if Lyon is not available. And then tonight, 5 games across the rest of the league. 3 of those games are at 7. The Hurricanes at the Penguins, Maple Leafs hosting the Devils, and the Panthers, they play host to Montreal. At 8:30, the Islanders are at Chicago. Then to wrap up your night at 10, Vancouver, they host Philadelphia. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I got a text from Ross this morning that said, I'm not sure I can make it today, boat ride. But then later, Ross said, it turns out it's not boat weather, which it's certainly not boat weather here, but I doubt he's on the shores of Hamburg or anything like that, or even Hershey. And anyway, Ross, I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, I don't know that I am glad I can. I wish I was on the boat right now. I wish we had to reschedule it, but it's the wind gusts are up to 23 miles an hour, making the temperature feel like a very cold 64 where I'm at. So, we decided we'll do the boat tomorrow.
A small craft advisory or something of the sort, preventing Ross from going out on the water. It's Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Well, you've said how you always get Eagles questions when you go on these radio hits. We did have Eagles-Bills on Sunday, and while it wasn't at all a shootout, it was pretty compelling. The Bills not being able to score until less than 6 minutes to go, then having a great chance of winning. Philadelphia, Ross, 1 first down in the second half, and it came early. What were your important takeaways from this game?
Well, I think number one, I guess, is I was very impressed with Eagles defense. It's funny, isn't it, how you look at things from whatever perspective you're coming from? Like, I can very easily say I was impressed by the Eagles defense throughout. And the Eagles offense, I thought, did some good things in the first half and really did not play well in the second half. I could totally flip that and say, man, it really took the Bills offense a while to get going. They didn't play well till the last 10 minutes or so, and they had some unfortunate plays go against them. But the Bills defense was lights out in the second half. Like, I don't know. I guess they can both be true, but just based on, the fan reaction to the social video I did after the game at Ross Tucker NFL, it's really all a matter of your perspective and where you're coming from as to what you think. Like multiple Bills fans, we gave them that game, blah, blah, blah. And then the Eagles fans reply, are you kidding? You had 2 guys make the best catch of their entire lives. and a hook and ladder, and you still only scored 12 points. So I guess my big takeaway is that it was a really good game, competitive game. Weather was clearly a factor. And I think both those teams are good enough to go on extended playoff runs.
I think that's the worst weather possible for a fan at a game. Snow is better than 37 and rain. What about for a player?
By far the worst.
Yeah.
Freezing is by far the worst. Distinctly remember starting at center for the Bills in 2004 against the Arizona Cardinals at center. It was freezing rain, and it was miserable. I really was worried and had some trouble even gripping the ball. It was that wet. And, you know, my wife's grandmother came to the game. They sat in the stand in 36-degree sideways rain the whole time. And I distinctly remember thinking, yeah, they're never coming to a game again. I mean, because it was that bad. In fact, trivia note, I don't know how many years he played, but obviously going to be a Hall of Famer and all kinds of records. That's the only game in Larry's history you can catch that. The only game.
Fitzgerald, yeah. I'm having a little bit of a tough time hearing you, so I just want to see if there's anything you can do on that front. But we've talked about that Cardinals game before. Emmitt Smith is on that Cardinals team in 2004, I think, and the Bills end up blowing them out. Well, you know, Ross, so to the point you made about Eagles-Bills and, like, look at it kind of any way you want, I'm finding myself doing that about all the potential matchups in the playoffs. And I think I'd be largely the same way about the NFC. I mean, this is just a very interesting and even year for the competition. Like, all right, should the Bills want to go to Jacksonville or New England? You know, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like these will all be 3-point spreads or less, and one play here or there. Do you think that's? I mean, it feels a little bit lazy for me to land there, but there aren't matchups here potentially where I think, apart from maybe Carolina or Pittsburgh, I guess, where I think one team would be really down bad going in.
I don't think there's any team out there that really seems dominant, that really seems like, oh, man, you don't want to play them. Whereas last year, you know, nobody really wanted to play the Chiefs, you know. And even people didn't really want to play the Bills or the Ravens. You know, I think it was pretty clear that those were the three Super Bowl contenders in the AFC. And then I guess I would say in the NFC, it felt like it was pretty much just the Eagles and the Lions. And then out of nowhere, the Commanders were able to knock the Lions off and get the win. And next thing you know, they're playing the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. But it seemed like there was a pretty clear 5 teams you could envision going to the Super Bowl and winning it. This year, I would tend to agree. I mean, I don't know. If the Ravens beat the Steelers, I think I'd even put the Ravens in that category. I mean, there might be 13 of 14 teams. I think it would be plausible for them to actually get to the Super Bowl and win it, which is wild.
Right. By the way, on Baltimore, what's fair to say about Lamar Jackson? I don't know what you know in this instance, but just like it's a huge game, season on the line, and who knows if he's even going to be out there. Yesterday, John Harbaugh wouldn't commit either way. Does it smell bad to you what's going on with Jackson?
Well, whatever's going on with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens feels a little bit awkward right now. You know, I mean, you think about there's reports that, you know, he and Harbaugh, you know, their relationship is kind of soured. You know, Harbaugh says we have an A+ relationship. I think Harbaugh recognizes, you know, that, you know, they would pick Lamar Jackson over him, you know, right at this point if there's a discrepancy between the two of them. So that was number one. And then for Mike Preston, the Ravens, as long as I can remember, to come out and really skewer Lamar Jackson and talk about falling asleep in meetings and staying up at night playing video games. You know, I wonder how long he's been hanging on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Gave that to him because of how things are going this year.
Mike Preston, Baltimore Sun, as long as I can remember as well, back a long time, Ravens or Baltimore sports reporter. With Ross Tucker, Insider Calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Ross, one thing about this Bills season, and this is probably in keeping with all this overall context, what we're talking about, it's just been, they've set a high standard. It's been a long time since they've had kind of an easy game. I don't think Philadelphia should have been an easy game, but, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Tampa, the Bengals and the Bucks both led here in the fourth quarter. Miami shut them out into the fourth. I mean, even Pittsburgh, who they pulled away from, it was 7-3 Steelers at halftime. And it's not always the same thing. I mean, they've had good days and bad days, offense or defense. But is it what are your vibes on them? Like, it isn't the same as in recent years where they've really kind of dominated the bad teams, and to beat them has been really hard. And this game was an example of that, I guess. But I don't know, does it feel like, I guess in short, does it feel like the same Bills team?
It feels like a similar Bills team. I don't think it feels quite as good all around as some of the other years. I'm not really sure why. I can't really put my finger on it, on what's changed, what's different for this year versus the last couple years. I don't know if I felt like at the end of the year, the last couple of years, the passing game was clicking more or the defense was better or whatever. I think the good news is I don't know that any of that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the Bills, they have a team for a quarterback that's good enough to go on a run and win 3 road playoff games. I mean, I feel very strongly about that. The same way about and the Rams. It's very hard to do. It doesn't get done very often. But if there's a year to do it, I do believe that it would be this year, and it would be somebody like the Bills or the Rams.
One thing that's different this year, Ross, Josh Allen last year was sacked 14 times, and this year he's at 40 with 1 game to go. And even as you would have seen Sunday against Philadelphia, on plays where he's getting the ball off, he's getting hit a lot. Not so much on designed runs, like there aren't as many of those. His foot is bothering him, and he's sliding on some of those anyway, but he is taking hits in the pocket. I wonder if it's taking a couple of years off his career, not to be too dramatic about it, but it has been a very different year for Allen and, the physical toll he's had to take.
Yeah, and I think he did not look 100% to me on Sunday, which is a shame. I don't know, has Sean McDermott come out and said what they're going to do this week yet?
He sounded like they were going to slow play it, rest players. And I wanted to get to that with you, too, because I think maybe a lot of teams will do that, which is interesting because there are seedings at stake, but not massively important changes in terms of the Bills, for one example. So my guess would be Allen would start the game and then leave pretty early.
It's funny because people ask me this question a lot about what to do this week and how much the rest matters. And I guess my always that I go back to every year that I played, and it felt like, if you asked me late in the year, hey, if you could have one thing, what would you want? Would you want to be a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit taller, I don't know, whatever, right? I would always tell you, can I just feel a little bit better? Mm-hmm. Can I just feel a little bit better? I mean, there's a reason why guys are lined up late in the year to take Toradol shots and stuff like that. And it's because they got a lot of things bothering them. They got a lot of things hurting them. And so it makes a lot of sense to me to try to give those guys an opportunity to feel as healthy as possible for this playoff run. Let them go on a run feeling as close to 100% as they can. 1 week's not going to heal them, but a week of not playing, a week of not really practicing will put them in a much, much better place going into next week's playoff game.
What I'm anticipating is, starting with yesterday when Jim Harbaugh announced Justin Herbert would not play, That's another game where the Chargers could move up a spot or two in the wild card seedings, but not better than that. So sounds like LA was first to the podium to say, like, yeah, we're not going to, press things this week. I just think there'll be other teams that fall in line. And I wonder if New England might be one, because this is, I recognize it's not giving Denver the game per se, but if Denver wins, then New England has really nothing to play for except 2-3. That's also Chicago, Philadelphia. I thought Nick Sirianni sounded like he was prepared to rest players this week for the Eagles with the same. 2 versus 3 is not totally insignificant. Likely home field in the second round. But I'm feeling like this is the general priority that coaches are leaning into this year. Maybe more than ever before, is giving their guys the rest.
Well, I think 2 versus 3 is a big deal. I think the issue for the Eagles is that they don't control it. It's not like if they win, they're the 2. They have to win, and they need the Bears to lose. That lack of control would be the thing that bothers me. And by the way, there's some percentage chance that the Eagles play their starters and lose anyway.
Yeah.
And there's some percentage chance, I think that they probably think it's pretty high, that they play their backups and win. Tanner McKee, their backup quarterback, is really good. And that's what he did last year in Week 18 against the Giants. He won the game. So if you calculate everything, resting the guys makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if you're the Bears and it's win and you're the 2 seed, that's different. If you can lock in the 2 seed, I think you have to do that.
If they are to win and do that, they'll face the Packers in the first round. One thing this all leads to, I think you'd agree, is just like some really exciting, close-looking matchups. Almost all of them will be this. Maybe we get Carolina against the Rams or something, and the Rams would be maybe the biggest favorite of the weekend, but they still have to go, well, they just went to Atlanta and lost last night. So I think it's shaping up for that, where I wonder if there will be a point spread in the wild card round. Maybe that would be the one game where it'd be the highest. I don't know. Is any other game higher than 3.5?
I think that there will be very, very close point spreads. I think you're right. Other than Carolina or maybe Pittsburgh, I don't see a team that's going to be favored by a lot over other teams. Certainly not more than a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a team on either side or both sides that you would want to, either literally or figuratively bet on as a Super Bowl winner? Because the odds are going to be pretty even across the board. Is there somebody here that you think is like in the weeds, maybe? I don't know, maybe if it's in the Bills. Like the Bills are they've been a favorite most of the year, but still, like they'll go in as a road team. Is there somebody that you have your eye on for this?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I probably would have told you before the Rams that I thought they were clearly the best team. Feels like they're limping to the finish a little bit. I'd probably lean most towards the number 1 seeds just because it's such an easier path. But, if the Lions can lose to the Commanders last year, the Broncos and Niners and or Seahawks can certainly lose to whoever they're going to end up playing.
Right. Ross, one more thing. It's likely now, because of how this has fallen, Sunday to be the last game ever at that stadium. Maybe the Bills end up with a kind of a miraculous home game in the playoffs as a higher seed, but this is probably it. It's a weird one for the fans, I think, because the season won't be over, but the stadium will be, so to speak, on Sunday. You played there as a member of the Bills. You know the fans. You've said so many nice things in our conversations. What might it feel like? What are your thoughts on the last game there?
Yeah, it makes me sad. I'm doing the game for CBS with Kevin Harlan this week, and as I was looking at the options after they came out Sunday night, I thought there was a chance of Indy, Houston. I thought there was a chance of Washington, Philadelphia, which is what I'm doing, and I thought there was a chance of the Bills and the Jets. And, there was something cool about all of them. Certainly, doing the Eagles, since I do their preseason games and live near there, I'm excited about that one. But, I said to my wife, if I do the Bills, that's that's the last game at Ralph Wilson Stadium, which is what I've, always called it and probably always will. And I know that there were literally hundreds of better players for the Bills that played in that stadium than me. But, it's still my favorite team I played for. It's still the team I played the most for. And it's still the place where I have the fondest memories and the most memories. Somebody wrote an article, I think it might have been the Democrat, about, our loss to the Steelers in 2004 that we got. So it's always a little bit bittersweet. I'm excited that they got a new stadium. The new stadium looks like it's going to be awesome. But probably listening, it's like anything else in life. When you turn the page, it's like, they're always missing all the memories that took place in that building.
Thank you, Ross. Good luck getting on the water tomorrow, and we'll talk next week before the playoffs.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Mike.
You're welcome. Ross Tucker on the Wester Hotline, Odyssey NFL insider and former Bill. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. Wherever Ross goes on these late December trips every year, it's sometimes a wonky connection. So apologies to you, the listener, for having to handle that. But thanks for hanging in there with us. The stadium, I have to remember to mention that as a topic for discussion here, just like the history of it, because it's like the playoffs and the matchups and the Bills' weaknesses and their flaws, and just like, is this going to work out? But especially for season ticket holders that go back, even decades, Sunday's a really powerful day. And I'm happy to hear your thoughts on it. I mean, some of you will go back to the very beginning of the stadium, 1973. My first game there was in 1979. I'm glad I can check the 70s box. I mean, I went to one game in the 70s and not many until like the late 80s for me after that. But at least I got one in, so I can hold the 70s flag up as somebody who was there. Miami, Buffalo, week 1 in the rain, 1979. 9-7 Dolphins, the final. But I don't know. I fell in love with it, I guess. So what will Sunday mean? Sal and I had different viewpoints, by the way, on the emotions of Sunday yesterday when we talked, because I thought kind of the playoff situation puts a little bit of a damper on the closing of the stadium, because it's not the end of the season. It's just the end of the regular season, and you're probably not coming back, but you don't really know that. And Sal looked at it more positively, like this is a way where you can just sort of enjoy it, because there isn't the pressure of lose and you're done or anything like that. It's certainly not that kind of game. Not much to lose here on Sunday. 803-0550 for your thoughts. I'll talk to Tyler Dunn later, Paul Hamilton as well. This is Mike Schopp on WGR.
tomorrow. We'll also get the team's first injury report for the week as they do get ready to wrap up the regular season at home against the Jets on Sunday for a 4:25 kickoff. The Bills, though, did have some roster announcements. The team is signing wide receiver Mecole Hardman to the practice squad. Around the rest of the league, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. Patriots did make a statement today saying that they are aware of the allegations and are going to be cooperating with the authorities in the NFL. And then the league has also made a statement confirming that they are in contact with the Patriots, however, would not be making any further comments at this time. For the Sabres, they are off today as their win streak moves to 9. They'll be back in action tomorrow at Dallas, but something to keep an eye on. Head coach Lindy Ruff did speak with the media this morning, said goaltender Alex Lang is being evaluated for a lower body injury that he suffered last night. However, if he cannot go, Colton Ellis is expected to be able to come off of IR. We'll get a little bit more on the Sabres coming up in just a bit when Paul Hamilton does join the show. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Whoever steps out in the field, if it's reserves or if it's the starters, like there's going to be a little bit of something to that. There's some substance to that. There's a little bit of weight, some gravitas to that, because you don't want to make a game too much of what it is, but you're holding 53 years worth of tremendous football by an organization that means so much to a town with that. It'll be a beautiful send-off. It's just such a blessing and privilege to be a part of it. I can't wait to see how that place is celebrated come Sunday.
I'm looking forward to hearing a couple of little tidbits on what might be planned. This is one where also I think it maybe was a little bit complicated because of the Bills being likely to be at home in the playoffs, or so we thought before the season or into the season, and now it's likely that they won't be. Think about it from the Jet players, too. I don't know how they would feel, but it's a little bit special. Jets haven't won here in 6 years, so, I mean, that team is in such disarray. I'm not sure, unless Tyrod Taylor is on the field. I think he probably would be, right? Active or not. He's somebody that would have memories, of course, of the place. That's Mitch Morse, by the way. 803-0550. I want to make sure, and we don't have a show on Thursday either. I mean, Friday is game preview day and Drive at 5, picks and everything like that. I want to make sure we give adequate time and thought to the this being the end of the stadium, going back from 1973. I certainly have a lot of memories there. In the more recent part of my life, it's mostly work-related, but even before that, many times out as a kid. I mean, the 79 opener, I was 7. I was there with my parents' friends. And I have no idea how that dynamic worked, but it was my parents' friends and me. 3 of us, like a 7-year-old. But high school years, high school, college, it was like a big deal to get home for games, playoff games, all of it. It was probably the most important thing in my life, would have been going there and experiencing Bills games. And that's not lost on me when here we are about 30 some years after that, seeing it come to an end. Let's go to Gerald here. Hi, Gerald.
Hey, fellas, how we doing?
I'm good.
So my first football game was opening day 1986 against the Jets.
Yeah.
And I almost think that was Jim Kelly's rookie season too, but I'm not positive.
It was.
On that one. But anyway, the Jets won that game, so I guess this is bookends for me because I'm going Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, that was Kelly's first game as a Bill. Bright sunshine, shootout. It was a loss, but as I watched it, a rare home game where the blackout was lifted at, I guess I would have been 14. I mean, I just felt great about it. The Bills had, I'm growing up 8, 9, 10 years old. The Bills they get good, and they have a couple of close calls in the playoffs. Like it was, I didn't grow up like Bulldog did several years earlier, watching them mostly lose all the time. Like it didn't start that way for me. But then it got that way. Mid-'80s, it was the worst. But when Kelly ran through the tunnel, even though they went 4-12 that year, it did start to turn up. And then by 88, they're in the AFC Championship. So The 80s overall were fun, and then the 90s were epic for the Bills. Like, I don't need to tell you. Let's go to Ed next. Hello, Ed.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
It's funny you said blackout. Can you believe how times have changed?
Yeah, I know.
Games being blacked out way back then. That's crazy. Hey, what do you think about picking up Trayvon Diggs? You know, that defense for the Bills, I think, has been their Achilles heel in the playoffs. Somebody seems to get hurt every playoff game. I don't think you can have enough defense. I know the offense is struggling right now, but I feel like they'll figure that out.
Well, he's just about the worst graded defensive back in the NFL. So I think I will pass on this one. Thanks, Ed. Tony is next. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Mike. I just talking about the stadium.
Yeah.
I was at the first game ever. It was a preseason game against Vince Lombardi and the Redskins.
Oh,
and
wow.
They took the opening kickoff to the house. That's how we started the stadium. Just wanted to drop that tidbit. Thanks.
Wallace Francis.
Wallace Francis, yep.
That's right, isn't it? I never thought about that being Lombardi.
Yes, he was. First game ever in our stadium.
73 Washington. All right, cool. Thanks, Tony. I never thought about that being Lombardi. It's before my time a little bit. I remember I'm not sure I would have remembered Washington, but I remember the name of the guy and that happened in a preseason game. I never linked that with Lombardi, though. That's pretty cool. I have many varied memories of the stadium. Not all of them are fond. Like one unfortunate bathroom incident that I can still remember. Nothing involving other people, but just not knowing exactly where to go as a kid, if you will. Hope that makes sense. And then having it be explained to me at the end that I wasn't going where I should have been going. So there's that. I announced a high school game there. That was a big thrill at the time, doing PA for a Grand Island sectionals game. They gave each, I'm not sure if they don't still do this or haven't still done it this way over the years. They would give the public address announcer for each school one half. And so I got to do a half. There was a foot pedal, probably very different now. I know it is, because now you just yell third down and there's really nothing else to it. But in those days you had to press your foot pedal down to speak, and that was just like the best. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing this at, Rich Stadium. And I think it was the same weekend where after the game or after the first half, my job was done. We two friends of mine piled in one of his car and went to Foxborough for the Bills Patriots the next day. I want to say that was November of '89. Let's go to Pete next. Hi, Pete.
Hey, Mike. Yeah,
Hi.
just calling about being at the first game. I will be at the game Sunday, so that's kind of cool for me. But the first game, some people may remember there was a huge traffic jam. People really didn't know what it was going to be like to get out there. And the stadium was half full when the ball was kicked off. And I literally sat down in my seat when the ball was kicked off, and it was Herb Mulkey for the Redskins that returned the kickoff for a touchdown.
Oh, okay. So Washington did it. What's Wallace Francis? Is that the regular season?
Wallace Francis, yeah, he was on the Bills
Yeah.
at that time, pretty sure, yeah.
Did he maybe do the same thing in the regular season opener?
Could have been.
Okay. So it's Mulkey for Washington in the preseason game.
Yes.
Okay.
Herb Mulkey.
Yes.
So, anyway, a lot of great memories out there. Kelly's first game and
Yeah.
tailgating, just a lot of fun.
Thanks, Pete. I'm trying to decide what my favorite day out there would have been. Maybe it's the '88 Jets. Fandemonium, getting on the field, ripping the net away from this other guy after the game was over, 9-6. That might have been my number one. I didn't love everything about doing that. I was pressured into doing it. And, okay, well, there are 8 of us and 7 guys are rushing down to the field. I probably should go with them. Is that what Mom would tell me to do? Leave your vagrant friends to their, whatever their crimes and sit alone in the end zone or go with them. I went 90 playoffs, Miami, 91, both playoff games, 95, 94, 95, just going to a night game by myself for the first time in 93, Monday night against Houston. That was really my prime for going to the stadium. Let's go to Jim next. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
I got a couple stories. I was 16 when the stadium opened. I told my mother I'm getting season tickets, and she thought maybe it wasn't a good idea that I do it by myself. So she got one with me, and all these years later, I'm going to be going Sunday with my 40-year-old son and my 19-year-old grandson, and the memories are pretty amazing. That game you went to is where Tom Dempsey missed a field goal that continued Miami's streak to 19 games at that point.
Right.
But I remember first concert I went to there was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the James Gang, and this group that nobody ever heard of called Lynyrd Skynyrd. That was in '74. And, the memories, I remember in 1990 when Frank Reich was filling in for Kelly and they beat Miami to win the division. They tore the goalpost down, and I'm walking down Abbott Road, and there's about 50 guys at the goalpost. And they walked into a tree, and they kept on walking. The goalpost bent in half and broke, and they off in different directions with their pieces of the goalpost. Just great memories. Winning the 51-3 game, I think, is one of the all-time classics. I remember the first Monday night game in '73, where O.J. went over 1,000 yards in game number 7 against Kansas City. Still had Bobby Bell and Jim Lynch and Len Dawson. All the legends were still on that team. Going through the years, just going there with my kids, my grandkids. My daughter's first game, she was 3 years old. She fell asleep under the seat. That was Jim Harbaugh's game for Indianapolis, and second biggest comeback in Bills history was that game. That's probably like 94.
I was at that.
And, that was something. And when, then one thing to consider when I go to the game Sunday, I'll be thinking of my mother. But the Super Bowl is on her 105th birthday, and I think that's a good vibe. So
all right,
if they ever win it, I'm going over to Holy Cross Cemetery, and I'm going to put a pennant on her grave.
Have a great time Sunday, Jim. Very good. I'm looking at the box from that Bills-Chiefs game in '73 you mentioned, and it's funny, like in the OJ years, there are several games like this where there are just no stats at all until you get to him. Pete Beathard, Kansas City, 6 for 23, 73, 2 sacks. Len Dawson, 2 for 6, 26, 2 interceptions. No passing, rushing. Ed Podolak, 7 for 29. Joe Ferguson, 6 for 11, 63, and a pick. Receiving, Bob Chandler, 3 for 35, 0. O.J. Simpson, 39 for 157 and 2. Like, there was one guy on that field. Nobody else could get 2 yards in this game for either team. There are a lot of Bills games like that in those years. Thanks again, Jim. Mike Schopp here with Tyler Dunn at 5. This is WGR. Sadly, we stand corrected on that Vince Lombardi was the coach of the 93 Washington team. Sounds like he was not there or maybe even dead by then. But he was in Washington for a bit. Let's go to Steven next. Hi, Steven.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Hi.
Yeah, I got quite a few memories as far as what I still call Rich Stadium. So I remember as a Boy Scout, we actually got to be on the field at halftime unfurling a field-length American flag. So that was a great memory for me. My Aunt Cora also was in charge of the personnel at Rich Stadium. And we actually lived like 5 minutes down the road when we moved from Buffalo to Hamburg. And so I got to work there one season, and that was a great experience. Of course, I got to watch, OJ running the ball. And I remember back in '76, the teachers had all gone on strike for the Buffalo school system. And I remember the Buffalo News putting on the front page how OJ had become the highest paid player in the NFL back then. But it was just a great experience. Unfortunately, after the 70s, I never got to go to a game out there. I watched them, all the time. But, it was just a really great experience being out there at the stadium and being able to experience the OJ years,
Sure.
I had to endure the drought, the first drought everyone forgets about, which was that the Dolphins owned the Bills through the whole decade of the 70s. But still, great experience. I really loved being out there, and so I'm rooting for the Bills to go all the way this year and get this franchise what they've been wanting and deserving all along, which is the Super Bowl rings.
Very good. Thank you. Let's get Mike in next. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Hi.
I got to enjoy my first Bills game was in '73. No, it was my second Bills game. I was at the Rock Pile when I was 10. But I saw that they played the Jets in 1973. The Bills won 9-7. It was rather boring.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little disappointed because I really wanted to see Joe Namath, but he got a busted shoulder 2 weeks before. But it was to see it for the first time, when you're like 11 years old is like mind-boggling. It was like, holy mackerel, this is ours. And it was pretty exciting. And then, I got to go to the concerts, a lot of the rock concerts in the 70s too. That was pretty wild. And of course, I was there on the field when they beat Miami in September of 1980, when it was just nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe how crazy we all went.
That is maybe the hottest game in Bills history. One of them.
There was a vibe going into that game. You just knew it. You just knew it was something. And Fergie threw 5 interceptions, if my memory serves.
Yeah.
Is correct. But still, Jeff Nixon really stepped up. Everybody stepped up, and they stayed with it. And then, of course, when they won, the place just tipped upside down.
Sure. I think it was 90 degrees. I think that for a while, if it's not still, that was the record for the hottest Bills game. Little trivia about that game, by the way. I didn't watch it. It might have been blacked out or just I was too young. The play-by-play announcer for that game was Bob Costas, the 1980 Miami-Buffalo opener. What else was I going to look up that just came up? That 73 game with the Jets that's the regular season opener. They had played their first 2 games on the road, so that's the first regular season game at the stadium. I just always am drawn by how many turnovers there were in every game. It's like looking at Washington, because of course, George Allen, I say of course, like to myself, George Allen would have been the coach. That's right off of a Super Bowl year for Washington with George Allen. And there's just like 14 games, 76 turnovers between the two teams in their game, something like that. Just, I don't understand how it was so hard. Or coaches or teams just did not, the proverbial point of emphasis was not on avoiding turnovers. It's just crazy. All through the 70s, even the very best teams, there's tons of turnovers. How are they? I know this is dumb. Talking like this is just like, well, wake up or just understand that times change. I know. But how could they have been so bad at limiting turnovers when so many games ride on them. Did they not then? Like now, you go -2 in a game on turnovers, you're in trouble. Were you not in trouble in 1977 when you went -2? Is there some reason why? I guess if I turn it over 7 times and you turn it over 5 times, is that different than I turn it over twice to your 0? I got to figure this one out. Every time we go back, for whatever reason, we go back through the years and we get to the 70s, and I just look at a random game and there were like 10 turnovers. And now, 3's a lot. When you see a game, what was the game the other night? There was one where neither team could hold on to the ball. Was that Monday? No, it wasn't last night. I don't know. Whatever. Just, it's weird when you see that now. Tyler Dunn coming up next here on WGR.
Off day today for the Buffalo Bills. They'll get back to practice tomorrow. We'll also get the first injury report of the week, as the Bills will wrap up their regular season at home against the Jets on Sunday at 4:25. We also did get some roster news today, as the team announced they have signed wide receiver McCole Hardman to the practice squad. Around the league, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and a misdemeanor assault and battery. Patriots did make a statement saying that they are aware of the allegations and are going to be cooperating with the authorities in the NFL. The league also made a statement confirming that they are, in fact, in contact with the Patriots, but would not make any further comment at this time. In other Diggs news, Stephon's brother, cornerback Trayvon Diggs, was released by the Cowboys earlier today. If he does go through waivers unclaimed, he will become a free agent. To the Sabres, just practiced today as their win streak moves to 9. They're back in game action tomorrow night at Dallas. Something to keep an eye on, though. Head coach Lindy Ruff today with the media said goaltender Alex Lyon is being evaluated for a lower body injury he suffered last night against St. Louis. Colton Ellis is expected to be able to come off IR if Lyon is not available. Do stay tuned. We'll get more on the Sabres. Paul Hamilton coming up in just about a half hour at 5:30. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp.
It's nothing you did.
It's not you, it's me.
It's not you. It's you, but you didn't cross me.
And the Bulldog.
Why did I choose? Why did I just stay in school?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's always fun to hear people's favorite memories of the stadium on this occasion that it's closing. I kind of think that after Sunday, then it's the playoffs, and then it'll be about the new place. I don't think we'll do it. I don't expect to have an instinct in the spring or summer to be like, what are your favorite memories of the stadium? Maybe when they take it down, which won't be that far off in the future, we would want to do that. But I think after Sunday and then the season ends or the playoffs end at whatever time, I think we just kind of, all right, so what is this new place going to be like? You know, we've done some of that too already, but I kind of feel like this is it. This is almost last call for the stadium memories. You know, I probably want to do more of it through the week. Tyler Dunn with me now, golongtd.com. How extensive are your memories of the stadium, Tyler?
Hey, pleasure to be here, Mike.
Yes.
And merry belated Christmas to you and yours.
And to you.
You know, I guess memories are kind of divvied up into a couple of buckets. There's the memories from a press box, just, you know, covering it on that side of things. And I don't know, like some that pop into my mind. Remember when the Guinness Book of World Records showed up for Rex and the gang, and they thought it was going to be so loud, and they're going to take down the Patriots on the heels of beating the Colts, and then, I don't know, the Patriots kind of did Patriots things. But I don't know, way back in the early 90s, I kind of remember going to my first Bills game as a 5 or 6 year old with Dad, and I think it was a preseason game, and all I remember is Dad with the ultimate save lifted me up as somebody was drunk behind us, just puked all over my seat. Like, it was an unbelievable dad move.
Special.
So hopefully I can pass that on to my kids.
I went to there. I don't know if it's famous, but in 1980, the Bills won the AFC East. They had, I don't know if they'd ever done it. I think they had never done it. And there was a late season game against the Rams, early December, 10-7 overtime win. And I would have been 9. And I was there with my friend who was younger than me and our moms in the end zone, like halfway up in the end zone. I don't remember anybody throwing up. I just think back to that now 45 years later, and just I'm always in amazement that happened. That mom and her mom friend took the boys to a Bills game, a late Sunday, huge game against the Rams, and sat in the end zone. Like that. There's a famous picture or video after that game of the Bermuda Triangle Bills dancing on the field like a conga line. And I'm pretty sure we were long gone by then, but I can tell you that we were there for that.
I mean, and that's the thing. I'm 38 years old. My memories are more my dad's memories. Like, you know, like everybody listened. He's at the comeback game, but he stayed. He stayed after that pick was Bubba McDowell. He said he turned to his buddy and said, "We owe it to these guys. It's the end of the run. We owe it to them to stay." And they stuck it out. It's on VHS somewhere in the attic, I'm sure.
That's awesome. My Rams game, by the way, Vin Scully was the play-by-play announcer for that game. What do you think Sunday will be like, Tyler? I'm having a tough time with it because, I mean, I'm immersed, like most fans are immersed in the season and the playoffs and the matchups and everything like that. Will Sunday feel like what we want it to feel like? Sal said yesterday to me he thinks it will because the pressure is kind of off Sunday, that the playoffs are going to happen and this doesn't really affect too much. But, man, the fact that they're not likely to play a home playoff game here, for me, puts a real damper on things.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think everybody assumed there'd be a home playoff game, which, God, it spent a whole generation wondering if they'd ever get one, and then it became this rite of passage. So it is weird that they aren't likely going to be playing there at home in the playoffs. But I don't know. I think there'll still be all kinds of nostalgia, right? For all the memories we'll be replaying through grandfathers' heads and fathers' heads, and everybody who's in the stadium. They'll soak it in, and it's the Jets. I mean, this is not an NFL team. This is a joke of a franchise. I don't think it really matters who the Bills put on the field. They're going to win. The Jets are just straight up George Costanza quitting. I mean, really, they're going all out. They don't even have an interception this year. It's unbelievable.
Amazing.
So I think it lends itself to just a big old party for all involved, and then you just kind of look ahead to the playoffs.
Is this, by the way, the low point for the Jets after 14 years of missing the playoffs already? Have they been this bad before? Maybe?
Gosh, I mean, there was the Adam Gase era was pretty bad.
Yeah.
2-14.
14.
Williams took over and they did the all-out blitz, and I mean there's been some low moments, but this feels about as bad as it's been. You've got players on the field who have no business, being on a roster. So just in terms of a general lack of talent and direction and hope, there's nothing. I mean, what do you hang your hat on if you're the Jets? Is there any way you can spin this? I can't even think of any positive to take from this experiment whatsoever, which I don't know. Like, I was around the Lions the last few years. I kind of love Aaron Glenn and his coaching style. I mean, guys would run through a wall for him. They've won 15 games when they're down to the studs on defense. I guess some coaches are equipped to be coordinators and some are equipped to be head coaches. And here's example number 1,392.
Breece Hall going for 1,000 yards, but I think he's up. Like, his contract is probably up. He's the same as Cook. If I'm not wrong, he'll be a UFA next year. So even when it's good, it's not so good. But pretty good to go for 1,000 yards on that team this year. All right. Well, Tyler, of course, I'm talking every day about the playoff picture and potential matchups. It feels right now like, starting with Justin Herbert and the Chargers, yeah, we could move up a seed, but we've got guys who are banged up. I mean, he does have a broken left hand, I suppose, but still. I think coaches are going to lean toward rest, even when they have some stake in terms of seedings to play for here. We'll see what happens with the Bills. The Bills sound like that to me. The Eagles sound like that to me. Maybe the Patriots will get there because they'll think that Denver will probably win. What do you make of it? Is it the right attitude for a team, or does it vary?
I'm laughing because, I don't know if you call it Sean McVay after they lost to the Falcons. I mean, he's just pissed. You could just see it written across his face. They just lost the game. They didn't think they'd lose in a million years. And he just answers on pure emotion. Like, everybody's going to play.
Yeah.
It's almost like your high school basketball coach. Everybody hit the line.
Right.
We're running sprints. And we're going to run sprints all night. Like, he looked so mad. And I'm sure he slept on it and thought about it. And even the Rams, as bad as they looked, what's the upside? I get there's the whole rust debate, and we've seen it. I mean, back when I was at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the Packers went 15-1, and they had a bye, and then they played the Giants, and yeah, they looked out of sorts. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers played in that finale, so he was the MVP. He didn't play for a couple weeks. But then, and even thinking back to then, there were so many other things going on. Their offensive coordinator, Joe Philbin, I mean, his son just tragically died that week. And I remember Aaron Rodgers had never been to a funeral in his life. He's going to a funeral that Friday. I mean, you can cast a pall over Lambeau Field. Nobody was really in the mood to play a football game, let alone their offensive coordinator wasn't even around all week. So I don't know. Like, you can kind of pick apart those examples, even that being an extreme one, I feel like every team is so banged up. Every team has injuries. If you can take a week to let guys heal, take it. Like you want to be as healthy as possible in the playoffs. And I think the Bills probably realize that as much as anybody. I mean, I'm still picturing A.J. Klein, chasing Travis Kelce down the field on her up. So yeah, if they can rest, they're going to rest. Hold some open tryouts at Orchard Park High School if you got to fill a spotter.
With Tyler Dunn, the Bills and Jets Sunday, 4:25, final regular season game at least at the stadium. I'm Mike Schopp. Bulldog is off today. So how do the Bills look to you? I keep thinking about how long it's been since they've had a really complete four-quarter win, which, that's not necessarily the fairest way of gauging a team. Like, wins are wins, but it just seems every week there's something. Either they can't stop the run or they can't throw the ball. Sunday was more the latter of the two. You've just had very few games since early in the season, only a couple all year, really, I would say, which were just sort of an easy ride. And again, that's not to say every game should be, or when you play Philadelphia, it's not good enough if you don't win 27-10. I don't want to sound like that. But it worries me for them that they struggle so often in different areas, knowing that they probably have to win 3 road games to get there.
I think that is definitely the mainstream thought, and I get it. I can feel it. I'm sure you do too with your callers every day. There's this growing anxiety that is justifiable because nothing has come easy. You would think all these coaches and all these players, they got to be sick and tired of walking in to halftime, down a touchdown, down 2 touchdowns, playing terrible, and then they make the adjustments. They come out, they're a different team, things turn around. But you've mentioned this a few times, and I'm right there with you. What I can't get out of my head is from the start we've said we've got to judge this team on January. It's about, can the defense get a stop in the playoffs? That's been the problem. Go back to, this doesn't even count that Texans 2019 wild card crazy comeback where Deshaun Watson's running all over the place. There's been 40 non-kneel down drives in those 5 playoff defeats, and they've allowed 22 touchdowns, 9 field goals, created only 2 turnovers, only 8 punts. They're giving up 166 points. That's 4.15 per non-kneel down drive. That is historically dreadful. So I get it. We have to talk about this offense that has kind of been sputtering, but they're still averaging 28 points a game. They've got, I don't know what they are now. Going into the last game, they're the number 1 rushing attack. The reigning MVP at quarterback. It looks different, but part of me thinks it's okay that it looks different. You've got to evolve. They've tried the whole spread approach, right? Back to Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs and just throwing it all over the place. So, okay, now you've got a rushing attack. Now you got something that can maybe travel onto the road. So I hesitate to ring the alarm bells on offense. To me, it's still about that defense. Can you just steal a possession or two and not turn it over on offense and win by any means? I think they can. I still think you may be going into the dance with the best quarterback and the best running back and an offensive line and a wide open AFC. Hell, they might be one and done. Jacksonville they've got a solid roster and one of the best coaching staffs. I get it, but I would take those odds still if I'm Buffalo, and I think that's where we judge them. It's the pressure to me is still on the defense that time of year, and it does help that Andy Reid and the Chiefs aren't around. Sean McDermott has definitely evolved, and we've seen it. You saw in that Eagles game. Loved the decision to go for 2. He's been uber aggressive. I think it helps that his old mentor isn't around. For whatever reason, he has been tight into those games. So that's a good thing. It hasn't been pretty, but I'd still be pretty optimistic if I was the Bills going into this particular tournament.
I like it. The other side of that is the quarterbacks they'll face and whether they can rise to the occasion. And that will be, some combination, if the Bills win games, of Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, Drake May, maybe even Stroud or one of the other guys. And is there one of them, let's start with May, because he's the MVP favorite. This week might not even show anything, May or Stafford or anybody, if teams play backups. So he might have the MVP in his second year. 13 wins. It's hard for me to imagine that he doesn't play a good game in the playoffs. I don't know if he can do what Allen has done, but I wouldn't really want to. I'm not in a hurry to bet against him.
Yeah, I think he's the MVP, and he's going to be a problem for a long, long time. It is interesting. I was just chatting with his quarterback's coach as a rookie, T.C. McCartney, and some really good insight where, sometimes you get these former coaches and they don't have the nicest things to say. And then the nicest things to say about Caleb Williams in Chicago was ugly for a million reasons. And then you talk to a T.C. McCartney, and he's calling Drake May the smartest person in the building, regardless of player, coach, whatever. Blown away by his intelligence, by his work ethic, by his gifts. And he thought that maybe they were still a year or two away from Drake May elevating into the elites because Josh McDaniels' offense is just so damn hard to learn. I mean, you're given all the answers to the test, play in and play out, but it's not just that 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 progression. It is, you are reading the defense, and he's getting it. It hasn't taken long. He has figured it out, and he's figured it out without much of a supporting cast. They're good, not great, and now they've got to deal with all this Diggs drama, surprise, surprise. So, I think he's the MVP. He's outstanding. And to me, even though you just beat New England and you beat them in thrilling fashion in their house, I think that would still be the toughest challenge if you're Buffalo because they've got the quarterback.
By the way, on the Diggs situation, I haven't commented on it at all today, but I would guess that even as serious as it sounds, this is going to be a thing for next year. These like Rashee Rice, these kinds of, they're not all the same, but I would assume that it doesn't interrupt Diggs' availability to the Patriots, but am I being naive?
Well, I think that it's on purpose. The league can kind of do whatever the hell it wants, right? And the players signed off on this. They don't have to wait for stuff to go down in court. If they want, they can just have their own investigation. They can levy their own punishment. They can pay you not to work. Roger Goodell, they can do whatever they'd like. So I suppose you never know if they're angry enough at Park Avenue and want to make an example out of this, or they have some substantial hardcore evidence, which who knows, maybe they can get their hands on that. It does not sound good, to put it lightly, but I'm with you. I think they'll probably wait. It's almost January. The playoffs are here. I think that they would let this get into the offseason, but you never know.
There's a commissioner's exempt list. Interesting that before the season started, we had Stephon Diggs on that boat with some interesting substance, among other things that were going on there. And we might have been thinking about a suspension or something coming his way, but he had the torn ACL he was coming off of, and he beat the schedule, so nothing ever really came of that. With Jacksonville in mind, Tyler, earlier you used the word solid, and I think that that's probably a popular word for the Jaguars. Is there the upside, the overall talent and ability to win in the playoffs? They've, not been a team that's done that anytime recently, almost ever. So how threatening is Jacksonville? Are they a solid team that you'll have to not turn the ball over to beat, and if you're clean, you'll be able to do it? Or are they maybe better than that?
What's impressive with Jacksonville is it does seem like, gosh, we've been talking about Trevor Lawrence taking the next step in perpetuity, it seems. But it feels like he finally got hard coaching, and he has responded to that hard coaching. And Doug Peterson, guys loved him, and they had a wild, 2022 when they're completely out of it, and they fight their way back, and they had the comeback against the Chargers. But I don't think Doug Peterson is going to get in your face. Like, that is just not his style. And Liam Cohen will. Like, you saw it. Like, he would lose his mind in September and October. There were several clips that kind of went viral where Trevor Lawrence screws up and the coach isn't happy. And if we're seeing that publicly, you can only imagine what's going on privately. But whether it's Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, he's been really hard on Caleb Williams from day one. And Caleb Williams has played from under center by all accounts, has responded to that hard coaching. Like these new coaches working with these new quarterbacks, something is clicking there in Jacksonville, and the talent's always been there. So if he's disciplined and he doesn't turn it over, that's been his mistake, seasons past. I think that, he's still their ticket because it's in there. It's been in there since the Clemson days. I still don't feel like it's their time. I don't know. Maybe it's just you grow up in this game and you see young quarterbacks and first-year coaches, and they kind of have to go through it for a few years before they beat a weathered team like Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, they've been wanting to hit that simulate the January button all season long. So they know what this time of year means. But how can you not be encouraged, though, when it looks like this relationship is just going to, like, combust at times early in the season. And instead of combusting, Lawrence has been really, really good.
I like that point on Doug Peterson. I always kind of liked him and took for granted that he was respected. I mean, he played quarterback in the league and won with Philadelphia. But as you're laying that out, I'm thinking of the timeout before the Philly special, and Foles goes over to the sideline, like, let's run the Philly special. And Peterson's like, all right. All right, I guess, if you want to. What is it you do here? It looks good on him when it works. Maybe two more here, Tyler. How about Denver? The 1 seeds, if it's Denver and Seattle, two preseason long shots, especially Seattle being in that spot. Also, off bye weeks, two notoriously hard places to win for road teams if they end up being the ones. To put it this way, if Denver and Seattle get the ones, would you expect at least one of them to make the Super Bowl?
Oh, gosh. I like Seattle, and we got to kind of, like, be careful with how much we praise this team when we just saw this out of Sam Darnold. Right? He was in this game. You win it, you're the number 1 seed, and they got smacked by the Lions last year. Then they get smacked by the Rams. If you can pressure him up the A-gap, up the middle, he can still panic. You've definitely seen those moments even this season. So it's a big if. He's a variable. Can he handle that pressure and not force one into double coverage? I think that's got to be a concern. But if they can get through the San Francisco game, I think that Seattle is a tough out, man. They're 1 through 53. It's hard to find weaknesses on that roster. John Schneider has done such an amazing job with his drafts, just completely reloading, trading Russell Wilson at the perfect time. And yeah, they're positioned to win now and win for a long time, regardless of how Sam Darnold develops. But to be a Super Bowl contending team, you obviously need to see it out of them. And I don't know. I guess every time you want to believe in him, he kind of has one of those games. And you can't have one of those games in the playoffs. But if you're playing at home and you're able to rest for a week, all you got to do is win twice and you're in the Super Bowl. I think I like Seattle. The more I think about this game, I think I like them a little bit more than San Francisco. I mean, the 49ers defense is just, gosh, it's so patched together. I mean, you've got practice squad guys out there. To their credit, they're figuring out a way to win some of these games. But that's a tough way to make a living.
How about Purdy, though? What a player! Suddenly, did I just say that? What a player! Is that a little much? Just thinking maybe in fantasy context, 5 touchdowns each of the last 2 weeks, total touchdowns. They're tough to beat offensively, at least. McCaffrey, get Kittle back. Purdy is just really on.
Hey, he wasn't good enough for Syracuse football, though. He wasn't quite good enough for my alma mater. He wanted to go there bad. He was in tears when they told him no. And there he is, doing the Dougie in the end zone. That touchdown throw, I'm still trying to figure that one out. Brock Purdy, at his size and his athletic capabilities, he was just like Frogger, just kind of moving up, moving back, moving to the side, and just darts that touchdown. Yeah, he's been worth every nickel. I think that it's got to be encouraging because you wondered, man, is he just a product of this like group of monstars around him at every position, and he's just kind of like this placeholder, this point guard, just kind of throwing a bunch of short passes? No, he can make plays on his own, and this has been an unreal season for Kyle Shanahan. I think he should be coach of the year. What he's done with those injuries. You want to talk about wide receiver core? I mean, they had Kendrick Bourne out there. They pick up Sky Moore,
yep.
Demarcus Robinson, who's played for half the league, and they were scoring points with Mac Jones at quarterback, by the way. So it just goes to show, if you've got an offensive mind at the helm, pushing the buttons, it can go a long way. And maybe it's not fair to compare anybody to Kyle Shanahan because he is at the cutting edge of everything in the modern game. But man, what he's done is incredible. I mean, they can line up in a formation, and one play can look the same down in and down out, and they can just do a million things out of it. So if you're a linebacker and you're trying to key up on a tight end, you don't know what the hell is going to happen because everything looks the same, but they can do so many different things, run or pass, out of the same look, unlike any team in the NFL.
Tyler, thanks so much for your time. GoLongTD.com. Real quick, anything new that you want to tell people about?
Sure, yep. I have it pinned at the site. If folks want to check it out, I was able to sit down with Jordan Poyer at length. It was a psychedelic journey and then some through his last half decade. My God, there's a lot of stuff that I don't think anybody had a clue what he's really been through in mind, body, spirit, all the above. He was such an open book, and I think after you read it, like myself, you might want to try a little ayahuasca, or at least a little breath. He's at a very good place right now.
Happy New Year, Tyler. Thanks again.
Hey, thank you, Mike. Anytime.
All right, Tyler Dunn, GoLongTD.com. Next, Paul Hamilton. The Sabres on a nice little 9-game winning streak. We'll get into them after the break. This is Mike Schopp on WGR.
They'll get back to work tomorrow. We'll also get the team's first injury report of the week as they do get ready to wrap up the regular season at home against the Jets on Sunday at 4:25. There was some news, however. The team did announce they have signed wide receiver McCole Hardman back to the practice squad. Around the rest of the league, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs has been charged with a felony strangulation or suffocation and a misdemeanor assault and battery. The Patriots did make a statement saying that they are aware of the allegations and they will cooperate with both the authorities and the NFL. And the league also made a statement confirming that they, in fact, were in contact with the Patriots, but had no further comment at this time. And then in the other Diggs news, Stephon Diggs' brother, cornerback Trayvon Diggs, was released by the Cowboys earlier today. If he does go through waivers unclaimed, he will become a free agent. And then over to the Sabres. They just had practice today, though the win streak has moved to 9. They're back in game action tomorrow night at Dallas. Something to keep an eye on, though. Head coach Lindy Ruff today with the media said goaltender Alex Lyon is being evaluated for a lower body injury he suffered last night. Colton Ellis, though, is expected to be able to come off IR if Lyon is not available. Do stay tuned. We'll get more on the Sabres as Paul Hamilton joins the show next. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Well, maybe that's getting put to the test. That's up to Paul to decide for himself. I feel like now, if you ask Paul or anybody, are the Sabres going to win the night? The answer is obviously yes, Paul, because that's all there is anymore. Nothing wrong with that. But how about all this? From the GM change, they get that overtime win in Edmonton after being on a losing streak, after blowing the 3-0 third period lead in that game, and they have not lost since. Now they're going to St. Louis and making it look close to easy. Does it make sense, Paul?
Well, actually, if somebody asked me if they're going to win tonight, I would say no because
no game.
Playing.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
But no, it wasn't easy. Just in the first period, they had gotten behind. It didn't seem it was pretty even period, and then all of a sudden, in the last 40 minutes, they took over. They outshot the Blues 26-9. In the last 40 minutes of the game after being outshot 9-8 in the first period. And Lyon, he slammed the door. A lot of people thought maybe Lyon should have had both goals. But even if he should have, from 8:09 in the first period on, he slammed the door. That was it. That was all the Blues would get. And he made some really good saves along the way. He didn't have to make many. Only 9 in the last 40 minutes, as I said. But still, especially right near the end, when he gave up the puck, he lost his catching glove and went sprawling back into the net and somehow kept it out. And just a few seconds later, Peyton Krebs scored the empty net goal to put the game away. So, it was maybe an easier last 40 minutes of the game, but the first 20, they were producing turnovers. They got their first goal because of it, Oslin's goal. But they weren't able to really score on Hoffer after that in the first period. And then the Blues kind of took the period over a little bit after that, but then the Sabres got it back.
So Alex Lyon is apparently injured? When did that happen?
Not sure. He scrambled around. I'm wondering if it was when he was scrambling around, to be quite honest with you, because he did, kind of dive back and do the splits and get back in net. The empty net goal was at 18:44, so that was about the 18-minute mark that he did that. So I, not being there either in St. Louis or in Dallas right now, nobody really has said. In trying to watch Lindy Ruff's press conference back, it skips. I don't know what's happening with the Sabres feed, but that's happened for a couple of weeks now. It just skips, and you don't really get complete sentences. So I didn't really get exactly what he said about Lyon, but it is possible that they may have to activate Ellis to back up Luukkonen.
I read a report that Ruff said he would be able to do that if necessary, which makes me wonder if Ellis hasn't been ready or able for a while.
No question. He's been in practice, doing everything he's supposed to be doing. It's not like they've been holding him out or anything. It's been like any other practice. They just haven't activated him.
So I asked Brian Koziol this yesterday, and I'm sure I've asked this, we've talked about this together, you and I, just what is maybe the most surprising about all of this? You have to get on a roll like this. I mean, they're not blowing anybody out. The goaltending has to come with it, and that certainly happened for these guys. But would that be the most surprising thing? I don't think goaltending can ever be the most surprising thing. So what do you make of this success?
Well, I think Ruff let a goaltender get on a roll for the first time all year and use him like the number one goaltender with Lyon. Now, he doesn't appear to be doing that anymore. It looked like maybe he's going to be alternating now between Lyon, if Lyon is healthy, and Luukkonen. But, the Lyon, if you remember, hadn't won a game since October. And then all of a sudden he got in the net, won the game, and stayed in the net and just kept winning games along the way and was playing very, very well. So I think that really helped, getting him on a roll and just allowing one of the goaltenders. And remember when I was just saying, pick one. Let one get on a roll. I mean, pick one and play one. And they did that finally, and it was Lyon. So I think that was very important. And all of a sudden they bought into what Lindy Ruff was selling, which they hadn't done in a year and a half. They did it sometimes, but not a lot. And now it's really helped them to be better defensively because they are much, much better with the puck. Nowhere near as many turnovers that turn into 3-on-1s, occasionally 3-on-0s, or 2-on-1s, or 2-on-0s, or breakaways. I mean, that was just constantly happening to them. And they were, making their goaltender make too many big save opportunities. And they've been much, much better with the puck, especially in third periods. I don't think they've played a poor third period since Seattle. They've either been defending a one-goal lead or tied in every game since, and I think have done a really good job. Look at last night. They outshot the Blues 12-2 in the third period. And, Benson scored very early in that third period to give them the lead. And then finally Krebs put it away with the open net goal. So, they had once again play in a close game during a third period, although I thought they pretty much dominated the third period. The Blues were not in their zone very often.
So when you have like this turnaround, they've done the thing that you talked about that they needed to do, which was string wins together. So with more than half the season to go, they're basically right back at the beginning, right in the middle with Florida and the Rangers and the Devils and several other teams. What do you think of their chances now?
Yeah, well, it's not lost on them. The pregame interviews yesterday, both Bo Byram and Lindy Ruff, it's like, well, yeah, we're playing better, but we can't afford to get on any type of a losing streak because they've just gotten there now. This is the first time by points percentage they are in a playoff spot. I mean, it took them 9 straight wins. I said 10. To get back in, it'd probably take 10. I was off by 1. So right now they're tied with Florida. Florida would have the 7th spot with the tiebreaker, and Buffalo would have the 8th spot, and they're just barely ahead of the Washington Capitals by points percentage. So right now they are in when you do it that way. And but the thing is, you're not going to win every game. And there's probably going to be an occasion where you're going to lose 2 in a row. And you're hoping that you don't string 3 or 4 in a row together. I mean, that's just the way a hockey season goes. So you had to do all this winning to get where you are right now, and you just barely are in the playoffs now. But you have to, make sure that you don't get on any of these long losing streaks, that you go tumbling back down again. You've worked too hard to get where you are right now, and you have to continue to work hard to stay there.
Tomorrow night, Dallas. That is a 8 o'clock game like last night, so pregame at 7. Paul, we'll look forward to hearing you then.
I will be on with Brian. Take care.
Thank you. Paul Hamilton with us on the Wester Hotline. Pregame show tomorrow night, Sabres and Stars, as I just said, 7 o'clock. More after this. This is Mike Schopp on WGR. Little bit of memory lane today with the stadium wrapping things up, Sunday wrapping things up. What a way to put that. Last game, probably, on Sunday. So a couple of references earlier, one to the 1980 opener. The caller said how he was there. The Bills beat Miami and took the goalpost down. I mentioned how Bob Costas, I believe, was the play-by-play man for that game. And then when I was talking to Tyler Dunn, I mentioned Vin Scully. I love this. I love, broadcasting, and that's my area, and the trivia nature of it. Vin Scully doing the Bills game against the Rams late in 1980, also at the stadium. Like Bob Costas and Vin Scully broadcasting games in Orchard Park in the same season. It's not like we're the Red Sox, but that did happen in 1980. Maybe there were others. I don't think so, but I know there were those two important games and memorable ones in that season. And it's reminding me of the Madden and Summerall book. We had the author on, Rich Podolsky, a couple of weeks ago maybe, and how Scully ends up leaving CBS. Like, I didn't really know who he was until he was doing baseball at NBC. And then he was their signature guy, 86 Mets. He was already a legend, but that's when I got to be familiar with his work, Vin Scully. And so what happened was, and I think the author might have told this story on our show, but Madden left coaching and became this budding superstar for CBS, and they tried to figure out who to pair him with. And so what they did in 1981 was give Vin Scully like 4 games with him and Summerall 4 games with him to try to find like which guy is the better fit. And they eventually chose Summerall. At the end of that season, it's the catch, Dwight Clark, Dallas, San Francisco, 1981 NFC Championship. And by then, Summerall is Madden's partner. Like, they'd already made that decision. But the game's in San Francisco, and the Super Bowl is the next week in Pontiac, Michigan. And Madden doesn't fly. So, extra prep too. They decided that Madden would not do the NFC Championship so he could bus Madden Cruiser style to Detroit. And Summerall didn't want to do the game without him. Or he might have done radio, actually, but he wouldn't do the CBS broadcast without Madden. So that game went to Scully and Hank Stram for CBS, the famous game in San Francisco. And I don't know exactly if Scully had made this decision or what they were going to do, but it was decided that Madden would be Summerall's. And now you've got Scully in the number 2 role, where he'd already been, but getting the NFC Championship game because of the Super Bowl being a week later in Detroit. And that was the last football game Scully did for CBS. That incredibly famous game, Dallas and San Francisco. That was it. He walked off on that. And I think that was just a coincidence that it was such a famous game, but that was going to be it for him at CBS. After they gave Summerall the gig with Madden, Scully reportedly was hot about it. He felt insulted and decided to leave the network. A year later, he did golf and some other stuff, but left for NBC and became their signature baseball voice for many years. So it's kind of a fun little piece of trivia that Madden and Summerall, who were paired together, like they had done the game the week before. The game the week before, by the way, at Candlestick, is the first game ever for the Telestrator, the CBS chalkboard. That was in the book too. But they skipped the NFC Championship so Madden can drive to the Super Bowl and be there, with some time to spare. Earlier today, Ross Tucker, not yet on a boat. My conversation with Ross coming up next. This is Mike Schopp on WGR.
Off day today for the Buffalo